give the floor to the Honourable Minister for Fisheries, the Honourable Semi Koroilavesau. You have the floor.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, sir. First, I wish to take this opportunity to repeat the sentiments expressed by honourable members who have spoken before me in congratulating His Excellency Ratu Williame Katunibere on his appointment as the new President of the Republic of Fiji. I also rise to thank His Excellency for his most gracious speech in the opening of Parliament on Monday, the 22nd of November, in which he recognized his predecessor, His Excellency Major General Tioche Konusi Konrote, for his exemplary leadership, which is accredited to his decades of service to the Fijian people in the pursuit of peace. Honourable Speaker, sir, His Excellency reaffirmed to this August Parliament, as rightly stressed to all Fijians, the importance of our democracy as created under the 2013 Constitution. This Constitution is different from past constitutions where the system failed to deliver equality. This has definitely been proven in our current Constitution, which has created equal opportunities for all Fijians. Honourable Speaker, sir, as clearly conveyed in His Excellency's speech, Fiji is home to people that want stability and prosperity, and who are wise and resilient, people who have accepted the principle of one vote, one person with equal opportunities. Our unity has also been evident in our vaccination program rollout and resulting in statistics that have grown to more than 90% vaccination. This result has been achieved through the Honourable Prime Minister's lead in encouraging all eligible Fijians to be vaccinated. This itself, Honourable Speaker, sir, signifies our people's support and good understanding, patriotism, and our willingness to achieve our nation's collective goal in mitigating and adapting to the challenges posed by COVID-19. These efforts and our ability to control the spread of this global virus are commendable, and I would like to acknowledge those who have dedicated their time and efforts to fight COVID-19. To our frontliners, including our health workers, security forces, civil servants, and our partners, both overseas and local, Vinakabakalevu, thank you for a job well done. It is imperative that we continue the efforts and let's not put our guard down. Honourable Speaker, sir, mirroring the statement by His Excellency the President, it is certain that we cannot be complacent in our path to progress. While we continue to face challenges, we as leaders and dedicated citizens of this beloved nation, we must seize every opportunity to participate in the progress in our economic recovery, while closely considering the connections that will have our natural resources, our environment, our cultures, and our livelihoods. And to re-emphasize, Honourable Speaker, sir, the uncertainty of COVID-19 only reinforces the need for our long-term commitment towards collaboration to achieve our medium and long-term goals. Honourable Speaker, sir, at this juncture, I would like to commend His Excellency for recognizing the efforts undertaken by our Honourable Prime Minister in the climate negotiations during COP26. It is not a fair fight when you're negotiating with large and powerful developed nations, but similar to a single drop of a pin that lands on a large volume of water, the impact will not be instant. But we are still sending ripples that are taking effect and are being recognized. As we need to continue to push, these ripples will ultimately result in changes that will benefit us and the generations to come. Fiji is fighting and punching beyond its physical size and leading the small island states to be recognized and noticed by bigger, richer, and powerful nations around the world. Honorable Speaker, sir, His Excellency the President has vividly expressed how climate change is being felt at all levels of our society. The loss of coastal watersheds, fishing grounds, coastlines, fish stocks, farming areas are all the results of climate change. We need clear actions. We need to take ownership and implement adaptation and mitigation measures. Like His Excellency the President, I have also witnessed firsthand the impact of climate change, as I am also one of those that grew up by the sea. Throughout my working life in the Navy and joining tourism and now as the Minister responsible for fisheries, the changes have been so dramatic over the last 50 years. The loss of natural habitats, coastlines and farmlands due to climate change signifies the importance of understanding the scale and intensity of this global catastrophe. The time to act is now. We are the generation that can make the required difference. As a ministry responsible for a sector directly affected by climate change, I would like to reaffirm to this August Parliament that the Ministry of Fisheries is determined and committed to address these challenges through adaptive and mitigating measures. These measures include application of innovative technology and practices, development of clean and efficient energy, boosting our efforts to protect reefs and ocean ecosystems, having a supportive policy and legislative framework, and to create a legal framework to effectively enforce and prosecute identified offenders. All of these, Honourable Speaker, sir, were raised by His Excellency in his most gracious speech and are areas that the Ministry of Fisheries will address. As a responsible ministry, we are implementing opportunities that are safe and that will not be of adverse cost to our children, our grandchildren, and the future generations. At this juncture, Honourable Speaker, sir, I would like to speak briefly on how the Ministry of Fisheries will continue to address these important matters. First, as a country, we need to push for innovative technology and practices. Then apply these innovative technologies and practices on the ground. Honourable Speaker, sir, being innovative means thinking outside the box or having the ability to be innovative under the most difficult circumstances. In addressing our current needs, innovation is being practiced on how we mitigate and adapt to changes brought in by climate change. Through innovative technology, we are able to address the loss of farmland from saltwater intrusion by converting these inundated lands to aquaculture or fish breeding purposes. This will need huge financial assistance and input by government, our overseas partners, and the participation of the private sector investors. The use of improved technology has enabled us to use these farmlands into profitable and manageable aquaculture sites, and the Ministry of Fisheries has identified suitable sites in Vitilevu and in Vanuatu. We will be initiating startup developments to use these sites and boost economic activities through improved livelihoods under our aquaculture program. Honourable Speaker, sir, with the support of our development partners, the Zamboni multipurpose hatchery is now in full operation, with white shrimp now available to be bred within the identified sites. In meeting the demands for clean energy and solar, Honourable Speaker, sir, Fisheries has been implementing this through the Solar Freezer project for rural and maritime communities. To date, we have been able to strategically roll out units to rural maritime islands around Koroilavesau, Vitilevu, Lomaiviti, Lau, Kandavu, and Esau. In the coming weeks, through the assistance of the Japanese government, we will be installing 8 solar units in Esau as means of improved livelihoods for those that have been displaced or have lost employment mainly from the tourism industry as a result of COVID-19. Additional projects to support the measure include the installation of the Rambi Solar Ice Plant Project, the Eco-Refrigerant Project for Sabsabu and Bunsea, projects intended for completion in the next few months with an ultimate aim of replications to other areas around Fiji. Honourable Speaker, sir, we will continue to look for clean source of energy as it addresses the need to reduce carbon emission and it's cost-effective to communities, providing them with better livelihoods. Honourable Speaker, sir, underpinning the need to protect the Great Sea Reef as highlighted by His Excellency, the Ministry of Fisheries, through our legislative role, is determined to help this important initiative through the establishment of Marine Managed Areas, MMA, and Marine Protected Areas, MPAs. This addresses Sustainable Development Goal 14 of Life Below Water and will contribute to our 30% commitment in the establishment of MPA and MMAs. Honourable Speaker, sir, in addition to this and noting the linkage between tourism sector and our ocean resources, I am confident to state that the Ministry of Fisheries has been working closely with the tourism sector in progressing this initiative. The 3 sites that we wish to finalize by the end of next month are Tavarua in Malolo, Nabakabu and Nukumbati in the province of Maduata in Vonolio. Noting the role of customary fishing right owners have in the establishment of MPA and MMAs, I would like to urge our custodians, the Itoke, to please consider the benefits of employing good fishing practices which are inclusive in the development of MPAs and MMAs. All it takes is a reckless decision that would cost us our resources. So let us be wise and think of our future and the future of our children. The importance of legislation enforcement and prosecutions will need to be strengthened. On the other hand, Honourable Speaker, sir, the importance of having the proper legislation to support enforcement and prosecution cannot be taken lightly. As highlighted by His Excellency, in having the proper legislation will enable us to enforce our laws, prosecute those that breach these laws, and it also serves as a deterrent which helps protect the loss of vulnerable ocean and our natural resources. In support of an updated legislation, the Ministry of Fisheries will continue to review and develop fit-for-purpose legislation to suit the changes that occur within the national and international platforms. Lastly, Honourable Speaker, sir, with all uncertainties that are occurring around the world, we all need to keep in mind that our decisions and actions will determine how well we fathom what is to come. It is true that we have reached the tipping point and we must act now to reverse the worrying grave trend. If our generation fails to deal with this threat as boldly and swiftly as we must, then we will place at risk the future of our oceans and fishery resources, the future of our country and the future of our children. We all need to accept this reality and work collectively towards preventing it. I would like to end by urging all of us that we all have a part to play. In the context of climate change and fisheries, to recover our resources will not take years but decades, and this will be to the cost of those who swear to protect, and that is our children and their future. Honourable Speaker, sir, as this is the last scheduled meeting for Parliament for 2021, please allow me to wish your good self and honourable members of this August Parliament and all Fijian a Merry Christmas and a Happy 2022. Thank you, Honourable Speaker, sir, and I thank you for your indulgence.
I thank the Honourable Minister for his contribution to the debate.